got Ben Bridwell right now from Band of Horses with us. Welcome to KVNA.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So you grew up in South Carolina. What was the music you grew up listening to that influenced your music style?
Well, I was lucky to grow up in a very a fan, a music fan household. Like my parents were always listening to records all the time.
Right.
A lot of like good soul stuff. Everyone's from Georgia in my family, so you know you're gonna hear like Ray Charles and Otis Redding and James Brown and Allman Brothers, things like that quite a bit. But my brother, I was lucky that my older brother Michael, he um he was into like The Cure and like Mudhoney and like Dead Kennedys and stuff like that, and Dinosaur Jr. and stuff like that. Speaking of in a drawer, because Jay Mascis sings on that song, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like a dream come true. But and he got me into Pavement and things like that. And Archers of Loaf, who are from up the road in Raleigh, Durham, they formed at the University of North Carolina. So those bands really informed me when I was, in like junior high, like 13, 14 or something like that. Now I'm starting to, like stencil record labels logos on my backpack in whiteout.
So when you were 16, you moved to Tucson, Arizona, and you were here for several years now. Radio experts they tell us that when we're 16 years old, we really form our musical tastes that stay with us through the rest of our lives. What's a fun memory for you when I know you were only there a couple of years. What were your fun memories from being in Arizona?
God, there are so many. I mean, I feel like I really grew up in Tucson, like just became like a man in Tucson. I met a couple folks, and I got to sleep in their closet. They were writing songs and stuff. We were listening to like John Frusciante from Red Hot Chili Pepper.
Oh yeah,
his first record came out.
I
And we were
love that
listening.
record.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so good. It's
so good.
so good. And it sounds so much like Tucson or in Arizona to me. And
Mm.
honestly, and we drive up to Phoenix and stuff and see shows. I had a car, so I was invaluable. I was going to be their best friend because I had a car that worked. And God, I mean, I think I tricked my mom into saying I'd go back to high school. I was in like my second, ninth grade year when I dropped out because I didn't pass the first one. And I think I went to high school for a week before I got kicked out for missing too many days already. I remember driving pizzas like crazy and listening to punk rock music with like Liberty Spikes and stuff, and freaking out all the frat boys on the the University of Arizona campus. I mean, dang, I met some great people that I'm still great friends with.
That's great. So when you first got into the music business, you weren't a musician, but rather you had a record label. I mean, how did you go from that to becoming a performing musician?
I'm still working on it, honestly. I think it's an evolving quest here for me, but yeah, those folks that I met in Tucson, we traveled up and down the West Coast, trying to get them gigs, trying to get them signed, all that kind of stuff. Eventually, we all moved up to Seattle, the three of us, and yeah, I was working at this cafe up there that had bands, and I just growing up in like a dipstick town, didn't get to see all these cool bands all the time. So I was just a kid in the candy store,
Right.
watching these bands every night, watching them sound check, how they interact. I found it to be just enthralling. So I saved every tip I could and saved up enough to afford a pressing of 1,000 CDs for those two friends for their band, which I'd later join as a terrible drummer. But
Carissa's weird, right?
indeed, yes, sir. Yes, thank you. Yes. Oh, it was the terrible drummer thing that really gave me away there. But no, I just wanted them to have some CDs to sell at their shows, and
Yeah.
back then that's about all you got were just some CDs. So I started it from there and reluctantly got thrown into being their drummer because their drummer left, and then that band broke up, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I went down the practice space every day, for better or worse, just forced myself to walk down there. And in Seattle, it's not that fun to walk like an hour every day. It's just raining and so
Oh
cold.
yeah.
But I found like kind of uh, I don't know, just the slog of that being a motivator to, well, get to a drier place and get a band to go on the road at least.
That's great. So tell me about your experience during the pandemic when concerts and tours were postponed and canceled. What'd you do with your time then?
Oh God, I wish I had something like very inspiring to tell you, but it wasn't. It was not inspiring. It was tough. I mean, we had this album that was already done, but couldn't be released yet, basically. Um, we'd gotten dropped from Interscope, or they'd passed on the
Hmm.
record. Um, I was moving on from my old management company. We were parting ways. My wife and I were breaking up, and you're also dealing with that and like a
Wow.
custody dispute with the kids, which is just harrowing to say the least. I was basically like roiling or grunting on the couch, um, trying to watch something that would take my mind off of how tough things were.
Wow.
Sorry for the bad news.
So now your sixth studio album, Things Are Great, was released at the beginning of the month. I understand you completely scrapped the original version of the album and started all over again. What was that about?
I guess I hate my own money. Because I like fund these records that we record, and hope to lease it out to a record label. So that's why it's not like exactly getting dropped from a label, because it's like, oh no, we're not going to pick up the option. It's like, the player's option in baseball compared to the team option. And I just didn't feel like it was what we could do best, or where our talents laid best. And I could feel like other people's stamp sometimes a bit heavier than my own. So I thought it was important to take things back to basics in a way. And I started working with my friend here in Charleston down at his garage studio. And then later he got like a real studio, like actual, place where the cops aren't going to bust you. And just started to rethink things a bit, because like the relationships were dissolving, not just marriage wise, but band member wise. We had taken so many different twists and turns here that it felt important to rethink things.
Well, let's play the opening track on the album, which sounds like a therapy session when I listen to it.
Oh yeah.
It's the track Warning Signs. This is Band of Horses from their new album on KVNA. And there's Warning Signs from Band of Horses, their brand new album. Why Are You? No, their
I
brand
know
new
it's
album.
tricky.
I know, I'm so confused. Their brand new album here on KVNA, Things Are Great. And we're speaking with Ben Bridwell from the band. So you were heading out of town on tour. I saw that you're going to be in Europe this week for some shows.
Oh,
Your first time out on tour?
you know what? That got pushed. Honestly,
Oh,
Dennis, I'm sorry. It got pushed because of I mean, we're still,
oh, I know.
it looks good on paper, but it logistically didn't, we couldn't tell if these different countries were going to be allowed to let us in. So we had to think ahead of time and say, you know what, we're going to push it. So we've rescheduled some dates for the end of the year in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have an upcoming tour with the Black Keys in North America.
Oh, wow.
And a couple little spotty festival dates of our own. So we're heading back into it with cautious optimism.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw that the Europe is experiencing a increase in cases again.
Cases of war as well.
Oh boy, no kidding.
So yeah, it's dicey, man. So I think all of us, I mean, in different realms of our jobs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've all been impacted so much in the past couple of years by this stuff, and it's God. I feel like there's also like a collective outpouring of camaraderie in that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, and I think we need that. We definitely need it in America, like
Yeah.
a bit more of coming together. And I think they feel that way in Europe as well, just with, the division between classes and political affiliations alone. I think we've all needed something to bring us more together. And God, I feel like playing music and getting outside and being all together, as long as it's safe, I think it's a healing tool
Yeah.
to get us to, to come together better.
And when you go out on tour, I understand that you customize each show for each city. It's not like the same set every night in every city. So, and that's really refreshing, just knowing that every time I go to see you, I'm going to see a different show.
Well, it sounds a bit brave, doesn't it? But there's a handful of songs we can't play or they'll run us out of town. So, you got a basic template that you're like, okay, you gotta play these, but yeah, we can get a bit adventurous as we go. I'll check on the set list that we did previously in those towns and make sure that there's some variety, at least a bit of variety. Sometimes it can be drastic.
Yeah. Now, I love the song on the album Crutch that we've been playing. It went to #1 on the charts and AAA adult alternative charts. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It only took 20 years.
So the line "I've got a crutch on you," it just captures my imagination. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that song.
Like a lot of songs in this band's catalog, they can bounce around subject matter. With this one, I was definitely thinking about codependent relationships, whether it be with a person or chemicals or things like that. The things that we lean on. So maybe it's a bit ambiguous at times, but there's definitely, like, I thought it'd be funny. Like always, I'm not very smart, so I make a dumb joke and stick to it. But I don't exactly hit the landing. I guess I did on that one if I got #1 on that one. So I guess I did hit the landing there. But there's also like a story of going to this crazy lake house, and these wasps were attacking me while I was doing the demo of the song. And there's like it was like a private lake that I was staying on. I was in the only house on the lake. I was gonna go jump in it, but there's like all these snake heads popping up. It's like, this lake is full of water snakes.
Wow.
So there's it tells a couple different tales.
That's really great. Well, let's wrap up our interview, and I'll play that for you. And wait a second. Let's wrap up the interview with that song. And I want to thank you very much, Ben Bridwell from Band of Horses, for joining us today here on KVNA. Let's play the new song from their new album. This is the song Crutch, the album Things Are Great, from the album Things Are Great here on KVNA.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate it.
That was fun.
Much. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Y'all have a good day over there, and I hope to hopefully we can swing by sometime and get back to the old ways of doing radio.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you. We have a nice big studio for you to come and set up and perform, and it's awesome.
That's great, man. Well, all my best to all of y'all, and we'll see you soon, huh?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks
Ben.
again, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, buddy.
Bye-bye.